Morning. A little experiment this morning. I thought I'd do a quick video. I'm just getting some paper sorted for the Filofaxes A5, which are my preference. But it's currently just setting up this one from Aspinall of London. Now it came with a lot of random refills in, some quite nice paper, which I'll use. But as you know, you need to refill them once you've used all that. And my stock of incredibly cheap Filofax notepads that I'd managed to get a couple of years ago has finally depleted. These the last page of the day, so I've been trying to find a suitable alternative. I started off, I've done a few experiments. So I started off and I bought a bit of this Filofax clipbook refill, which is cheaper than the standard Filofax notepads. Say notepads, they come in a pad that you can put at the back of the Filofax, but they're punched for the organisers. I use rollerball and ballpoint, as you can see here. So I did a test with both, see what the writing's like. This was with this cross rollerball pen with the standard cross refill, medium, and then a Parker. Not quite sure what model this is, but it uses the same standard G2 refills. It's got a jotter here as well. They use the same refills. Now this is still very expensive, so it writes really nice. It's very nice paper. I don't know what the GSM is. Can't find it on the listing, and I can't remember if it said it on the pack. But it's even substantially cheaper than retail price. It's 9.76 pence per sheet. So your notes better be very good if you're using that. So then I've tried a few other things. So I'm going to flick through in no particular order. Well, the order that it's in the book, I suppose, but that's just fairly random. So the next thing I tried, or the next thing we've got here to look at, is this paper, which as you can see is a fair bit shorter in width to the standard A5. So this is Clairefontaine paper from one of their Europa notebooks. 180 pages at 90 GSM. Cost me 2.48p per sheet. Now they're obviously slightly shorter sheets because it comes from a perforated notepad, and I put the holes in myself. Not perfectly aligned. I need to budge that one up. I've got a adjustable hole punch. This writes very nicely. This is probably slightly better than the Filofax paper. 90 GSM, nice and thick. So if you wanted to keep something for a while, this would do really well. I'm going to see whether I can find something which I don't need to use the perforations to the same paper, because that would be quite beneficial if I could have the full width paper. But I quite like the corners. I think the curved corners are quite nice. But yeah, that's a win. I think we'll continue to use that. Next is the cheapest of the bunch, which is this. So this is 70 GSM paper. I know people like thin paper sometimes. This is a refill pad, A5 refill pad from Sainsbury's. 80 sheets, 80p, 1p a sheet. It writes perfectly fine, to be honest. It has that recycled paper texture, which doesn't need to happen, but it is. That kind of slightly rough paper. It doesn't feel particularly nice. Doesn't feel nice to write on, but it's cheap, so there's definitely a place for that. The major issue with this is it becomes pre-punched, but for a 2-hole binder in the incorrect place, as you can see. So I had to, so you kind of got this double hole. That doesn't really bother me from a note-taking point of view, but just something to consider on that. Next up, this blank paper. Now, the reason I bought this was so I could stick it through my printer and create my own inserts. I will flick through to some that I've used recently that I've quite enjoyed. But again, being Filofax, they're not cheap. So I thought maybe if I customise them, I could do my own. So this is actually blank printer paper in A5 size. So it is 80 GSM, £6.96 for 500 sheets. It's actually more expensive than the equivalent A4, but I suppose it's scale, economy of scale on that, because not that many people buy A5. 1.392 pence per page, which isn't bad at all, really. You know, that is the second cheapest we've had so far, and it is much nicer than the cheap one. And if I can print custom things onto it, I should be able to get those down to kind of still keep them substantially below the Filofax price using the laser printer. It writes very nice, this one, and it's a full A5. And then finally, this I actually pinched from my youngest's arts book. This was from the Works, £2 for 72 sheets of 130 GSM. Crawford and Black is the brand. That works out 2.7p per sheet. Now this writes absolutely gorgeously. It's obviously very thick. You know, it's not far off these I can't think of the word off the top of my head now, but you know, it's essentially a thin card as much as a thick paper. But it writes very nicely, and if you're going to be doing some inserts or some kind of dashboard or some kind of check-off list that I know people doing, things like bullet journaling, where you were keeping it and writing on the same page for, you know, a month or 2 or 3, that wouldn't be a bad investment at all. It did come out of a perforated pad, but unlike the Clairefontaine, you still get the full A5 once you take it out of the perforated pad, so that's interesting. But I think for me, the two that would probably roll forward, I'll probably pick up one of these pads up for purposes I've just mentioned, things that I reuse often. This is definitely going to be successful for the self prints. I'm going to do some of those this afternoon, hopefully. Get time. This stuff can just go in one of my other binders, which I use for rough notes throughout the day at work, and they don't get kept, so there's no reason to worry about them. This is definitely a good way forward. It is the nicest paper from a cost point of view, so I think I will continue to use this Clairefontaine for a while and see whether I can find one that pulls out the full A5. And then I've got a bit of this Filofax paper, which is the clipboard stuff. If I didn't mention it before, my biggest issue with this actually is the holes. They're tiny. Just to give some context, I can't think if we just have a look at that there. Now these holes on this side here are fairly standard to normal Filofax. So you can see they're absolutely tiny, which isn't really an issue until you're trying to move in it, and it does get a bit snagged. So that is a little bit of an issue. So I wasn't aware of with the clip books. I'm just going to flick forward to, just making sure there's nothing on there, this insert here. So as you can see here, the holes are much bigger. This is an actual Filofax insert, and this is one of the meeting planner ones, which I've just started to use, and to organise my notes from meetings. I don't particularly use this section that much other than just for archival purposes, but being able to just keep the notes from a meeting in one place and them not be on a random page and then have to dig it out, I think will be quite useful. So I'm going to see, I've got a pack of this, so I've got 25. I'm going to see whether I can just customize this myself and create my own version. But yeah, I did like this in the last few meetings I've had. So 2014 trademark on there. So yeah, so that's an interesting one. But that is, again, like all Filofax inserts, pretty expensive to do for myself. And yeah, I think we're getting sorted. So yeah, I'll skip past all that stuff there. And yeah, leave you to it. It's quite a long video.